Hello, good morning. I'm Tim McKay. I'm the creator of this channel of Rule Your Realm of Opportunity. And so I want to tell you a little story about something that happened to me yesterday. It kind of rattled me a bit. And I was there about 11:30 yesterday morning in my kitchen. I was cooking some victuals, cooking up something I could eat for lunch. And as I was doing so, it was taking a while, and I was looking out the front window, which our place faces out to the street. Across the street, there's another sidewalk and a little bus stop where people come, and there's a garbage receptacle. And then comes this guy. Where I live, we got this kind of a homelessness kind of crisis going on. I mean, we're kind of out of the downtown area, so we don't see it as often. But there's this guy who's coming along with his shopping cart. And he's starting to look through the garbage can to find any, bottles and cans and whatnot. So, and he was there for quite a while, and then he started to kind of pick up. There was a bunch of stuff in the grass, like some garbage. So he's putting that in the garbage can and taking some bottles, and he was there for quite a while. I thought, well, I always feel empathy for these guys because they're stuck in a situation, and better or worse, I feel compelled to help these guys because sometimes they just can't help themselves. So I thought, what can I do practically? I don't want to give them cash. But I thought, you know what? I got a sack of bottles in my basement. So I rushed downstairs, down the stairs, into the garage, get the things, they're spilling everywhere, throw them back in the bag, close it back up, rush back upstairs, hoping that I can catch this guy because, they can come and go in a flash. I get out there and he's still doing what he's doing. So I'm like, oh, this is good. So now he's going through his cart, lifting things up, moving things around, kind of like he's resorting things, and I'm like, hey, buddy. And nothing. No response. I'm like, dude, hello. I called out to him. Hello, sir, excuse me. Ooh, big truck goes by. 3 or 4 cars. I'm like, well, he can't hear me with this traffic. And so I wait for a pause in the traffic, and I'm like, dude, hello. He wouldn't respond. I'm like, for frick's sakes. And so, because I'm thinking, okay, I got this big bag of bottles here. I want to give this guy for free. And I go, and I'm trying to communicate with him, to share with him my message of this free stuff for him. He's obviously a fellow who has a need for bottles. I've got bottles. I'm just trying to give them to him. All he has to do is come and get them. And I just wanted to signal him I'm going to put him on the ground, and that's that. But maybe in his past, he's heard all sorts of people chiding him. Maybe because he's got long hair, he couldn't hear me. And I don't know. Maybe he was physically deaf. I don't know this guy. Or maybe he was actively ignoring me. So any of these possibilities are ringing through my head. And so as I'm watching him, and then I'm like, frick, what's going on here? So then he kind of stops what he's doing. He walks kind of back, leaves his cart where he is, backs up a bit, goes up this walkway, and then he starts rifling through the recycle bin at this house. And then I'm like, okay, perfect. He's going to walk backwards, come back down the road come back down the driveway towards the road where I'm facing him, so I can wave at him, get his attention, yell at him, whatever. Comes down, and then he's coming back, he's got his head down, and then I'm yelling at him again, 3 or 4 times. And this goes on, and I'm like, I just can't give this guy free bottles. I know he'll want these, he can use them. Why won't he listen? And so, anyways, finally I give up. I'm like, okay, well, I tried. I did my best. So I come in, put the bag next to the door, and close the door, and I go carry on with my lunch. But I started to reflect on this, and it hit me on a number of levels, because one thing that I've always kind of felt, even as a kid, I've gone through, I've always felt I know I'm a good guy, but I've always had trouble connecting with people. I've always felt like I've been kind of like a social outcast. All through my youth, that was the case. Went through a series of bullying, and so I'm sure there's something, there's that experience that was a parallel to. And then when I was younger, I was in my dating life. I was trying to, I had very little luck with trying to engage the members of the opposite sex. I just, good one-on-one conversations, but I tried to take it to let, and I never really got them to want to go out with me. So I was thinking about that. And then I was thinking about a number of my business experiences where, I'm trying to, I say in consulting, I'm tired of preaching common sense, and people don't want to listen, and I use this expression that the customer says my thumb is sore and I'm banging it with a hammer. Well, here's what you need to do: is you need to stop banging it with a hammer. But I want to swing the hammer. I paid a lot of money for the hammer, and so they keep banging their thumb, and it's like, there's this disconnect, and it's like they hear my words, but they completely ignore me all the time. And so there's that parallel, and I think about, in my faith, I believe in Jesus. I believe that the Holy Spirit comes in me and gives me peace, so that when I'm living in a world where there's a lot of frustration and anger and fears, I don't have that fear. I have a calmness, and so all I have to do is go to Jesus and say, I accept your free gift of salvation. And so I see there's just a lack of connection with that message with others, and that's fine. Everyone's on their own journey. But I just continually see this pattern in my life, and I can't say that any one of these categories or these areas of life, the common denominator is myself. So of course, when I reflect on what I had with this experience with this dude, it feels very personal. And so, because the common denominator is me and my message and what I'm trying to say. So I'm there trying to give this guy some bottles, and he won't take free bottles. And so on one side, it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just a guy who couldn't hear me, he's deaf, I'm reading too much into it. But the issue is, it's the reality of the pattern in my life. And that's, that's interesting, because, when I'm not sure about you, but I reflect on a lot of things in my world. And I'm continually analyzing. Life is a book of knowledge, and if you're not taking the moment to reflect, I think you miss a lot of chances to grow personally, to develop. And so that's where I'm at with this. And it just, I'm not sure what the positive message is here, because I know my intellectual brain is saying, okay, well, what can I do to glean a positive message out of this and share with you? But the reality is, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to have days where things just suck. Things come in and hit you sideways. Someone says something, somebody does something, and the reality is it's just going to suck some days. And not that event sucked, really. I mean, it wasn't such a bad thing. I mean, I was trying to do a good thing, it just didn't work out. Whatever. But it's that thought process, and I think this is where a lot of entrepreneurs really start to get fouled up, is that we start to overthink, and if we don't do it in a positive way and in a positive light, then we start to get a little bit waylaid, and we get out of hand, and then we get depressed, and then we give up, and then we don't succeed, and then we think it's a failure, and then there's this downward spiral. And I think that's a problem, right? And so I guess my message out of this was really just to share this is what I've went through, because it did put a damper on my day. I felt here I am trying to create this channel for everybody, and feel like I'm sharing a lot of things, and I'm looking at the stats and say, well, that's interesting. Some of these videos are getting some views and a couple of likes, and it's like, well, am I down that path again, where something I'm doing as an effort to help others is not going to be well received, or is it? I don't know. So time will tell. But I think it's a choice in life, and I remember a pastor once telling me that love isn't just a feeling. It's a verb. It's an action, and it's a choice, right? So you have to choose, and if you're in a relationship with someone, you have to choose to love them. It's not and that's, I think, the same thing with, it's not just an emotion of love. Oh, I just love her, or whatever. I just feel it. It's not that. It's you have to choose. You have to say, okay, well, if I'm going to have a productive, loving relationship with my wife, I need to not be pushing my will on her. I can't. There's a lot of things. You have to be looking at it from their perspective. You have to be willing to do what they want to do. Some of the times, and I think that's the same thing in business. I think we have to, choose to proceed even though the circumstances aren't fun, and choose to proceed because we love to pursue our goals. And that's the same thing. And I think that's, if I was to kind of lay down a final message here, I think it's about, for me, entrepreneurship is really about that choice. It's choosing to go after a goal and making sure that you're pulling in enough opportunities, that you're going after the right things in your day and in your month to achieve that goal. And I think for me, I've got some good vision of what I want to do, and I think I need to focus a little bit more on what that vision is, why I want to go after that, and continue that definition of what that goal is going to be, because I think that it'll help me reinvigorate my journey through this channel, for example, or through my software I'm building. And I think that's a really good way for us to kind of take a little bit of lesson from this what I'm speaking about today, and just kind of focus on choosing to move forward irrespective of the past, irrespective of things that happen in our day. So, anyways, hope that wasn't too much of a downer. But I just want to encourage you to think about what is it you're going after, why you're doing it, and continue to make choices to pursue that goal. And so I'm rooting for your success, definitely rooting for mine. And just as a final note, if you're wondering about the crazy beard, I got off the mustache part because I have a CPAP machine and a little mask there, and I forgot to kind of trim down the rest of the beard, so I'll go do that next. Anyways, have yourself a great day. If you like what I'm saying, I've got more videos coming every single day for the next year, and so like this, subscribe it, hit the little bell, and thanks very much. Cheers.